Chair, you're live now.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, in that case, welcome to tonight's licensing subcommittee meeting. My name is Councillor Patrick Walsh and I will be chairing tonight's meeting. This meeting is being broadcast live on the Council's YouTube channel. If I lose connection, Councillor Jacqueline Daly will take over from myself. I'd like to remind all participants of a few housekeeping points. Firstly, please keep your microphone muted unless you are speaking. Secondly, please keep your camera turned on when you speak at the hearing. Thirdly, please note that the chat function has now been disabled. If parties wish to add any additional information other than that at their allocated speaking time, they must use the raised hand function so that they are not missed. I also ask that members keep their questions and comments brief, concise, and to the point. And I now move on to item 1 on the agenda. So item 1, apologies for absence, and no apologies for absence have been received. Item 2, declarations of interest. Do any members wish to make any declarations of interest?
No, Chair.
Fabulous. In that case, on to item 3, which is Bishop's Local at 156 Munster Road, London, SW6 5RA. I'd like to ask everybody participating to introduce themselves as I call upon you. We should have with us Hardeep Dung, the applicant. Hardeep?
Okay, now.
That's myself.
Hardeep. Good evening to you. We should have Surinder Panchal, the applicant's agent.
Thank you, ma'am. Sorry, thank you, sir. I'm here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And then we should also have Lorna McKenna, the licensing officer.
Present, Chair.
Good evening, Lorna. And we should also have Emmanuel, the council's legal officer.
Good evening, Chair.
Good evening. And then speaking in objection this evening, we should have with us Charles Stewart, who I should note for the purposes of the record, has not made an objection, but is representing George Stewart, Sarah Shillingford, and Tim Fullwood. Do I have Charles, George, Sarah, or Tim?
You have Charles. Hi there.
Good evening, Charles. And then I should also have in addition Dominic Hammond and Robin Adder, the Neighbourhood Watch and Residents Association for Felden and Swift Streets.
Dominic Hammond present.
Evening, Dominic.
Yes. Robin Adder, yeah, as you say, representing Felden Street and Swift Street residents.
Good evening to yourself, Robin. Okay, I now move along to the procedure. So before we consider the application today, I will confirm the process. So we will first hear from the licensing officer who will introduce the item. We will then hear from the objectors, and finally we will hear from the applicant. Usually each party will address the committee for a maximum of 5 minutes. Following the presentation by all parties, the committee may ask questions to any party or other person present at the hearing. Except for committee members, no party has the right to ask questions of any other party at any time during this hearing. Following the presentation and questioning, each party will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes to sum up their case or representation. And finally, the committee will then retire for deliberations. Upon its return, I will announce the committee's decision. So, could I ask the council's licensing officer, Lorna McKenna, to please introduce the application?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So on the 18th of February 2025, the Licensing Authority received a valid application for a new premises licence in respect of the premises known as Bishop's Local, 156 Munster Road, London, SW6 5RA, which was submitted by Manpreet Singh Kapoor of Personal Licence Courses UK on behalf of Hardeep Singh Dang, the applicant. The applicant has applied for a new premises licence for the sale of alcohol off the premises as outlined below. The sale by retail of alcohol off the premises Monday to Sundays from the hours of 8 a.m. till 11 p.m, with the proposed opening hours of the premises being Monday to Sundays from 8 a.m. till 11 p.m. The applicant has proposed a number of additional steps to promote the 4 licensing objectives if the application is minded to be granted this evening. And on the 14th of March 2025, the applicant agreed to amend the hours applied for the sale of alcohol off the premises and add 4 conditions to the licence if granted, as follows. The sale by retail of alcohol off the premises Monday to Saturdays from 9 a.m. till 11 p.m. and Sunday from 9 a.m. till 10 p.m. And on the 18th of March 2025, following correspondence with the Trading Standards team, the applicant agreed to add a further 2 conditions to the licence if granted this evening, all of which can be seen in the main agenda pack this evening. The licensing section received 10 representations objecting to the licence application from local residents. I can confirm that in addition to the main agenda, supplementary agenda item A, which was published on the 3rd of April 2025, which contained additional information from the objectors, has been circulated to all parties. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Lorna. In that case, we shall move along to the objectors. And we're going to start this evening with Charles. Now, Charles, since you are speaking on behalf of George, Sarah and Tim, you will be allocated 15 minutes, as each person is typically allocated 5 minutes each to speak. However, brevity is appreciated.
Don't worry, I'm definitely not going to take 15 minutes of your time. Thanks so much for giving me the opportunity. Yes, so I'm representing the 3 people. Incidentally, it's Georgie Stewart, who's my wife, rather than George, but matter of small detail. We're all long-term residents of Felden Street, which is closely adjacent to the premises in question. There are 3 grounds that I'd like to object on, please, or we would like to object on, please. Firstly, prevention of crime and disorder. It's a very largely residential area. We're concerned about the potential disruption caused by antisocial behaviour resulting from the purchase and consumption of alcohol. Secondly, public nuisance. There have been a good number of occasions, including just today, where there's litter left outside the shop. For example, unwanted pallets, the large wooden pallets outside the premises. I've been in to speak to the staff members there, so is my wife, and to say, can we have them removed on a number of occasions? They're still there. We've also reported this to the Love Our Clean Streets app system on the phone, and I think they've been dispensed with, but you can get, if you're interested, you can get the data and see how many occasions this has happened, but it's a good number of occasions. And we're concerned that with the sale of alcohol, this will only get worse. And the third ground, which we'd like to object upon, is the protection of children from harm. As you know, the premises is very close to the St John's Wallen Green Primary School, which we don't think is an appropriate proximity and presents a hazard to children and parents, as well as the local residents, particularly children and parents, selling alcohol during at the time that school will be open. So those are the 3 bases we would like to offer objection: prevention of crime disorder, public nuisance, and protection of children from harm. That's me.
Thank you, Charles. In that case, we'll move along to our next speaker. So Dominic, you will have 5 minutes to speak whenever you wish to speak.
Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to raise these objections. My objections are along largely the same lines as Charles has just outlined, but I'll add another couple of extra bits of flavour, if that's okay. In terms of public nuisance, alongside everything that Charles has noted, the store has regularly been keeping very long opening hours, being open at 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. And there's a couple of photos in the objection file, and I have plenty of other photos I can supply if needed. And when open, the staff members are often outside on their phone, on video calls, listening to music. And so I'm already having issues with the store, with the sale of alcohol. There's obviously a chance for that to extend beyond the advertised hours. Proximity to the school and protection of children, absolutely a concern as well. I want to reiterate that one. in the original sales brochure for the store, the proximity to the school was called out as one of the big selling points of the store, and I think it's somewhat interesting to now juxtapose that with the fact that they're planning to sell alcohol. That doesn't seem like a great mix. And it also, in terms of the public nuisance, one thing that's worth noting is the proximity to Craven Cottage. If you go down to any of the existing convenience stores that sell alcohol on game day, there are young men and women spilling out onto the streets, drinking alcohol outside these stores and generally causing a nuisance. I'd really rather not have that in this largely residential neighborhood. And then one other thing I wanted to point out on the application, as a sort of point of order, was one of the things highlighted in the application was the precedent of other license holders nearby. And I did want to point out one of the big differences with the closest one, which is the Italian restaurant on the corner that does serve alcohol, but they serve it to sit-down customers. They've also made themselves a large part of the Fulham community. They've maintained strong bonds, even sort of supplying flowers at funerals and being a really nice centre for the community, which can't really be said the same thing for this corner store. But yeah, I think that's everything. Everything else has already been mentioned by Charles. All the same objections. Thanks. That's me.
Thank you, Dominic. In that case, we'll move along to Robin. And Robin, you also have 5 minutes to speak.
Thank you. And thank you for allowing me to speak. So I agree with both Charles and Dominic that the issues of crime and disorder, public nuisance, particularly ongoing, and child protection are important. Also, I agree with Dominic that I walk my dog late at night and I see and I've actually had to go out in the middle of the night on occasions. I see the staff hanging around because there's, in the street at night. Now, as far as Dominic's point on Craven Cottage is concerned, we already have people buying alcohol from Tesco on the corner of Fulham Road, Munster Road, at football events and leaving empty bottles and cans on our walls, and also doing less pleasant things like relieving themselves against the walls of our houses. That happens at the moment at the Munster Road end closest to Fulham Road. I have no doubt that we'll be at risk of having that if this application goes ahead down at the Swift Street Road end as well. There's no reason that people behave differently because it's at the different location. The whole thing is about drinking alcohol and then discarding bottles, etc., etc. The other thing is that we've had a lot of crime. We've had a lot of crime in our streets, and both Georgie, Stuart, and I attend the ward panel meetings every quarter, and it's a real struggle to keep crime down. And we know that with alcohol, crime has a preponderance to increase. So for that reason, and the fact that I've lived in the street for over 30 years, we seem to have a lid on crime in our streets at the moment. That is Felden and Swiss Street. It would be desperately sad to see that go backwards. This is not directly relevant, but we also had a very serious accident, car accident on the intersection of Felden Street and Swiss Street by somebody who'd been driving and drinking in the last 12 months. That again, gives me the shivers to think that we could have somebody selling alcohol at both ends of the street. I really think for those reasons I want to object. On behalf, and I did say I've been the Neighbourhood Watch and Residents Association coordinator for the last longer than I'd like, because I can't find somebody to take on my responsibility. And many of the residents have objected, but to actually get them to write in is quite difficult. So I can say that verbally, I have the support of many of the residents. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Robin. We have now heard from the objectors, so we will now hear from the applicant. Could I ask Surindra Panchal, who is acting as the applicant's agent, to speak. And Surindra, you have 25 minutes to speak. Obviously, brevity is equally appreciated.
Thank you very much, Chair. I will not take 25. I will try and be as precise as possible. First of all, on behalf of my client and the applicant, Hardeep Singh Dan, I would like to apologize to all the neighbors who complained today, to say, I understand that you are going through a bad patch with the owner presently at the premises. My client is taking over the premises, has looked at all the incidents that have occurred with the present owner of the premises. A, he should not be open till 2 o'clock. B, we're looking into the application that we put down. My client has a tremendous experience in licenses. He was issued with a personal license 12 years ago, and he understands the 4 licensing objectives very well. He has been a DPS at the other 3 shops. They've got 2 shops and a restaurant already, which is a family business of my client, out of which 2 of licenses is one of the off licenses is a DPS, which he will be resigning and taking over as a DPS at this premises to make it work better. Chairman, on 14th of March, the applicant agreed to amend the hours, having looked at the matter and the concerns of the neighbors and the area. The client decided that the hours be reduced. So you've seen in your application that the hours have now been reduced from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. And we will be closing the shop at 11 o'clock. We will not be keeping the shop open at 2 o'clock, what the concerns that you look at with the present owner, number one. Chairman, the other thing is, if you look at page 9 of your bundle, which says the operation was open till 2 o'clock in the morning. We were very concerned why the previous owner kept that shop open till 2 o'clock when he shouldn't be open. We will not be keeping that open. So we've looked at the concern on page 9 of the offense. I also would like you to read in your bundle to look at the conditions that we've agreed with the responsible authorities, with the trading standards and with the in your report, Chairman. I'm just looking through to. You see page 4 of your bundle, you see on the 18th March following enforcement with the trading standards. And prior to that, the additional conditions agreed with the responsible authorities, again, in delivery and collections, including refuse cycling collections associated with the premises, shall be arranged between the hours of 8 o'clock in the night to 8 o'clock in the morning. Rubbish bin will be provided on regular basis. Staff at premises will clean up around the premises after it's closed and before it opens. Signs shall be displayed at the exit from the premises, asking patrons to leave quietly and dispose of their waste in their bins. And on 18th, with the standard trading standards, if you look at on page 5, at least one member of staff on duty while this license is being used shall be trained in the requirements of the Licensing Act 2003. In terms of licensing objectives, offences committed under the Act and conditions of the premises license. All staff responsible for selling alcohol should receive relevant training before any supervised sales included. The training will be refreshed every 6 months. So all the staff will be trained every 6 months on age-restricted products. So that is the way how. And on the other hand, there will be a training manual at the premises where all the staff's trainings will be recorded. There will be an incident book. There will be a refusal book put up on the premises required by the law. There will be all signs and posters that there's CCTV working. There will be Challenge 25. My client is going to follow the Challenge 25, which we can see the concerns of the neighbors regarding underage sales. He has never breached any of these conditions, having run three of his premises, Chairman. Chairman, I'm also looking at the guidance in saying 9.38, determining the application for yourself to view the promoting the licensing objectives in the overall interest of the local community. The licensing authority must give appropriate weight to the steps that are appropriate to promote the licensing objectives. I've just managed to show you how well and how robustly the 4 licensing objectives are going to be promoted at the premises. Chair, we've also looked at on page 56 and 57 of the bundle, the additional conditions. I'm repeating the additional conditions that we brought in. We are also very much concerned with what the neighbors are saying, and so all the matters in making sure things don't happen which is happening with the previous owner does not happen. The other thing, my neighbor in the past running his premises elsewhere has always bonded with the local community and always supported the local football teams or local cricket teams. And in this case, he wishes to get involved with the local resident association and wish to promote and make sure local schools get some promotion from the shop. So we are now looking at a completely different operator. We're now looking at somebody who's going to come and give a better shape to the area and give a better understanding and giving a better way to the local community. So, Chair, that is what our presentation is at the moment. And Chair, we have worked very closely with in the past as well as presently with the responsible authorities. I'm happy to take any questions regarding the premises. I'm happy Mr. Dang's here. He's also happy to speak if anything is required. But please do remember that we are here to promote the 4 licensing objectives, and we are here to support the local community. That is very, very important. Local shops do tend to promote, and we're at the moment asking the community to look at the Article 10.15 of the guidance. Shops, stores, and supermarkets should normally be free to provide sales of alcohol for consumption of the premises at any times when the retail outlet is open for shopping, unless there are good reasons based on the licensing objectives for restricting those hours. Chairman, we have presented to you today how robustly the 4 licensing objectives are going to be promoted. And that is the main criteria of any premises when they apply the premises license. Chair, that is what our presentation is today. We are happy to take any questions, and I can sum up later to give you more reasons.
Until you don't mind me speaking?
No, that's fine.
All right,
Yeah,
thank you.
Sorry, I would like the applicant would like to say a few words, Chair.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Hardy, and I have a DPS licensing since 2014. I've been running over 9 off license buying and selling. So I have 2 off license, which I kept for myself. I opened one in Harpenden, which you guys know, St. Albans. It's in one of the prestige town that you could ever live. Okay. And we have a primary school just next door to us from the High Street station. And in Harpenden, there are over 18 schools together, and we serve 9,468 customers in terms of the school. And we have the largest football academies in Harpenden. Over 10,000 kids comes in on the weekends to play football in Harpenden town. I have another store in Watford, just next to Watford. I have a little primary school, like a Busy Bees. They have just opened it, which is a brand new store which opened 3 years ago. It's a town that is only like 600 people live there. I heard that you had a problem with the crime disorder. When I'm running my shop, I haven't took over Munster Road just yet. It all depends on the licensing. If the licensing gone through, I'll purchase it. If it doesn't go through, I'm not gonna purchase it. The guy who already owns it, I think they took it last year, and they just here to open it and they sell it. I took the opportunity. It's a good area, which is a primary school on the right-hand side. There's a Fulham road further down. I have a house in Chelsea, a flat, which is only 25 minutes walking to my flat. So I am well wed. It's in a Finborough, 24 Finborough, SW10 9 Echo Quebec. That's my postcode. So I am in that area, and I live in that area too. I just purchased it last year, so I know how prestige that area is, and then how it should look and how it look maintained. So I'm not here to not tell that in terms of the crime disorder. I've been in the business for 14 years, so I am not new to here to go and do something that it should not be doing. Public safety, children from harm, public nuisance, crime disorder. I've been dealing with the day-to-day basis in my previous shop. If you have any problem that I'm gonna be facing, you are more than happy to revoke my license. Okay, there are mystery shopper comes in, they check for the IDs. I never, if you ask carpenter like my shop where I am right now, it's more spirits and beers, and I serve a lot of children day-to-day basis. And I don't have 2 in 2 out. I let kids come in and they know where there is restriction. If you are not in the age of 18 and you don't look over 25, I am not going to be serving anything. And I'm not like the previous who owns the the till system. I have a proper till system runs by bookers. You know bookers very well. They have every time you sell something, it says the age description. There's an age looks over, you check the ID. I have a proper system. Right hand side, whether we can check the ID, whether it's fake or real. That's always on the spot. I'm going to be running, because a brand new store, I want to make sure that it's run smoothly and fairly. I know you guys are concerned about it to give the alcohol license to premise like that, which I've already have a bad history, but trust me, I was not going to give you any chance of having any bad claims on that shop, and I'm going to be running it. Rest assured.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both. In that case, as we've heard from the objectors and the applicant, we shall move to the committee questions. So could I ask members of the committee if they have any questions that they wish to ask to any party? As a reminder, the 4 licensing objectives are: 1, the prevention of crime and disorder; 2, public safety; 3, the prevention of public nuisance; and 4, the protection of children from harm. So do any members of the committee have questions they wish to ask? I'm going to start with Councillor Stanton.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you firstly to everybody who has already spoken. I do have a few questions. I'm going to go to licensing first. Ordinarily, I would go to Adrian, but he's not here. So who is being Adrian today? Is that you, Lorna?
I can probably answer.
Or Matt?
Yeah,
okay,
or Matt's also here.
Okay. This is just for clarification, really, and partly for the purpose of those residents who are here who may not have the same level of understanding of licensing that we do. Can you just confirm to me that I'm correct in saying that should a premises not have a license, it can continue selling any unlicensable products 24 hours a day, whereas should we grant a license to sell alcohol today, we can actually put it in as a condition that the premises will close at a specified time?
Yes, so I'd just like to introduce myself to everyone. So apologies, Chair. I've just come back from leave last week, and I just come in to cover and support Lorna later on this evening. So apologies for the delay, and apologies to the camera there. Quick, the long answer, Councillor Stanton, is yes. If the premises does not intend to sell anything that requires a license from the local authority, it is permitted to trade within, of course, the terms that its own planning permission would provide for. So, for example, if they were just selling things that were not alcoholic, the premises could trade as long as it had a relevant planning permission to do so under its as a commercial entity. The follow-up to your question about conditioning the opening and closing hours, that would be down to the applicant. Evidently, it would be fair to say in the case of this application,
what the applicant is volunteering is it's quite clear to see what the operation of the business would be if the license were to be granted as it's been applied and slightly amended for. So effectively, if the committee were minded to grant the application as it's been presented and modified now, then effectively we would expect the premises license holder, if they were granted this application, to comply with it. And it's as simple as that, really, Councillor. Hopefully that answers your question. Please let me know if not.
It does. So in very, very brief terms, the answer is yes, I was correct.
That's the short answer, Councillor.
That's perfect. That's the answer I was looking for. I always like those answers. Thank you. I have a question for Mr. Panchal, if I may. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm fine.
We've served on these committees together a few times, and I'll be honest, I was slightly confused this afternoon because I remember doing a hearing for the same premises almost a year ago to the day, and the arguments that you, as the agent, provided, and in fact the concerns of the residents were almost word for word the same. Now, I am going to make it quite clear that we judge every application on its own merits, but given that this is almost a mirror image of the hearing that we did exactly a year ago, I'm slightly confused as to why it is that we are hearing the same application again. So could you possibly shed any light on that?
I'm a little bit confused because I don't remember that I did a license hearing for this premises.
Oh, I thought it was you. If it was not you, I apologise. In which case, I will withdraw that question.
Lorna, do you want to come in on that, madam?
Yeah, I was going to say, so Lorna, can I ask you that question, please? Because we did grant a licence for the same premise literally a year ago to the day.
Yeah, it was. I don't think Mr. Panchal was part of that hearing. They didn't submit the application on behalf
my
of
apologies.
that applicant.
Sorry, Mr. Panchal.
Yeah, there was a licence granted for this premises it was the 10th of April, nearly exactly 1 year, 10th of April last year. That licence was surrendered by the premises licence holder, on the 18th of September last year. And the reason it was surrendered was because the previous applicant had issues with the landlord and never actually took over the premises. So surrendered the licence because obviously he didn't want whoever went into it next to carry out any licensable activities unlawfully under his licence.
So the current occupants of the premises are not the same individuals that applied for the licence?
There's not currently an active premises licence in place at this premises. So
okay.
Whoever's operating the premises now, as Matt said, if they're not carrying out licensable activity, it wouldn't require a premises licence.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much. That is helpful.
Mr.
Panchal, again, let me apologise to you. I misremembered that who it was that was present at that meeting. So I'm sorry about that. Right. In which case, I do have some questions for Lorna. Thank you. That's perfect.
You're welcome.
I do have some questions either for Mr. Panchal or for the applicant. So if either of you could answer these. The first question actually is, when is it that you are likely to be taking over should a license be granted?
If the license is granted, I think it will take
another about 3 weeks, 4 weeks to literally go ahead to complete it.
3 to 4 weeks to complete it.
Okay, so about a month then. Okay, no, that's fine. And now one of the concerns that residents have is the noise of deliveries and scooters and motorbikes, etc. Are you intending to offer a delivery service, or is this going to be walk-in only?
No, it won't be delivery. It will be like a face-to-face customers interaction, coming to the shop and basically buying it. There's no delivery. We don't do delivery. We don't have manpower to do the deliveries. We don't do this because we cannot guarantee what's going to happen once the delivery goes out. If they carry it out, because it's dangerous to carry glass or whatever. So we don't do any deliveries at all.
Right. Okay. Thank you. And in terms of the makeup of the premises, is this going to be an off license or a convenience store? I'm trying to find out where the focus is in your sales.
So basically, if you can get granted on the alcohol license, like a normally, we'll have an alcohol behind the till, and we'll have a like grocery and sweets and like convenience store, like a normal what we have.
Okay, so it's going to be mixed. So typically, bearing in mind that you run a number of other stores,
Yes, we do.
on the same basis. What is kind of, in terms of the number of customers that you have, the ratio between alcohol only and more convenience style purchases?
For example, like if you can look into one of my shops, which is called Harpen and Wine Spirits and Beers, which is in Harpen and Station Road. Next to there's a primary school just on the left hand side, which calls a Harpen Academy. We sell, for example, between 3 till 5 o'clock. We have only kids, so they're like, as soon as they finish, they're gonna come straight to the shop. Majority they'll come with a family member because they're primary school. And then we have around about 13 schools in Harpenden, which is like more like they have a private schools. We have and then everyone's all going to come together and they'll buy it. So we know the timing when we're expecting the children, when we're expecting the majority. There are very mix of purchase, but between 3 till 5, we have kids coming in. That's basically like the kids' time. And after the 5 o'clock, we don't see the kids because it's like it's a welfare area. So people go more as tuitions and all the classes, and we get the cut because we open till midnight. We have license till 1 o'clock in Harpenden. And so we don't serve after that. And if, for example, on the weekend, we're more busier because it's weekend. At the end of the day, everyone's like boozes. But again, we have our Challenge 25 staff training manual and all that stuff, which supports us on a day-to-day basis having each customers.
Fine. So effectively, you're running during the day child-friendly products.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have
more of an alcohol-based sort of offering.
Yeah. I have 18 cameras in my store, and I have a massive camera outside. It literally I can reduce a half a mile. I'm kind of like, one of the gentlemen on the top, it says I'm a crime watch. I am a crime watch for my shop in the area around me. I wanted to know what's happening, what car goes by, what happens, everything. I am going to implement the same cameras there because I wanted to rotate to 360 every other minute. I want to know exactly what's happening because I want to have a safety for my shop and who's around us, which I do exactly in my town in Harpen.
Okay, thank you.
You want to pause for a moment, Councillor?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure that I do have any more questions, actually. I may come back if I may, Chair, but for now, I'll pass over.
Certainly. Just to clarify, for all present, the comments section has been disabled. If you do wish to add a comment, please use the raise hand function. I'm going to pass over to Councillor Daly.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening. I just have a kind of a couple of questions. Mr. Dan, can I direct some questions to you directly?
Yeah, you can. You can.
Thank you. So I understand that you're going to become the new owner if the license passes.
Yes.
Do I hear correctly that there is no relationship between you and your business and the existing business?
Would you kindly come again?
Sorry, am I breaking up? Can I just confirm that there's no relationship between you and your business and the existing business?
What, in terms of what? Like, what do you mean? Like, it's a brand new business?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll express that to Mr. Dan. Do you have any connections with your previous owner, or is he going to be part of your business?
No. I'm buying him out. He's not nothing to do with this news. He's selling the business to me, and I'm the new owner of that gonna be shop. He's got nothing to do with me anymore. Once I sign the paper, sign the lease, it'll be me who's gonna be running it and my team.
Okay, thank you. So I'm guessing that you're an experienced businessman, so you would have done a whole heap of due diligence. Do you understand the issues that have been driving the current owner
Absolutely. There's no denial. Absolutely, there's no denial. This is the concern to be raised anyway, whoever's been living in that area. For them to trust me at this early stage, it's like it's a nuisance, to be honest with you. Because but trust me, I can put my words to it. You won't have no regrets if I take over, and if I do get granted on the licensing, I'll make sure that I could work with them, either with them to come along when I'm took over and help them with me, or I can help them with them exactly whatever the concerns are. We can work and solve the matter within our shop. So I can make I can run my business smoothly, and they can live nicely in that area.
Thank you. So we've heard from residents that there's been some real public nuisance. And some of that public nuisance has been driven by the need to leave kind of quite commercial waste on the street, so pallets and that kind of thing. Do you understand why the current owner has been leaving, or has had the need to leave pallets? And can I ask you what you will do that will be different?
Yeah, sure. I think I only had 2 meetings when I was going to purchase. Majority of the owner doesn't work there. It runs by the staff members. So he put a delivery. There's a delivery over online, and the pallets goes in, and they literally take it out from the outdoor. I assume that's the case. Majority happens because there's no other back access. It only has the front access to the shop. We need stock anyway, so for us to listen to the deliveries. But I would never do a stock. The way I run my business is basically I bring a delivery in my van. I put straight away in the shop. There's nothing kept outside. You know, the way I think the water style, you know, the water stack and whatever is outside the shop. It's ISO to me, because it's a prestige area. You should never have anything like that outside. Tonight, this is not like a Bury Park or like North London of Turkish area. It's Hammersmith or Chelsea. You know, but I would not do that. Yes, I will going to be having deliveries coming in with a van and straight to the shop, and they should literally stack it inside when they do it. But nothing, no pallet outside, nothing like that will be taking place for sure.
Thank you. Can I also ask? I see that residents have their hands up, so
Councillor Daly, you are free to continue to ask questions.
Thanks. Can I ask the residents? Is the knowledge that the shop would be under new management at all reassuring to you? Mr. Stewart, perhaps I could ask you.
Sure. Well, I'm certainly hopeful that it's reassuring, because one starts with a new position. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but I was going to make a comment in relation to, is it Mr. Deng? I'm sorry if I've got your name wrong. Is it appropriate to make a sort of counter comment now, or should I wait?
Just to clarify, in this instance, so only members of the committee may ask questions to other members of the committee, and all participants this evening who've spoken will have an opportunity to sum up at the end of proceedings here. So if you wish to make, you can certainly make a comment. Certainly, Councillor Daly is free to ask you questions, but you know, please refrain from questioning any other party.
Got it. Thanks so much for clarifying. So in answer to your question, Councillor, only partially, because of the 3 objections, the public nuisance and the safety for children, I think, remain a concern because they're independent of whoever the proprietor might be.
Thank you. Can I ask Mr. Adler the same question? Are you reassured that with having the shop under new management?
I think it's an I think it's obviously nothing could be worse than what we have at the moment. But I did have another question to ask. May I do that?
No. Say you are unable to ask any question of any other party. You may also
It was just I just posted and then you said that the chat was closed. So I'd already posted something. Okay. Well, I think obviously if we're talking only about untidiness, then I think we give it's unfair not to give a chance. But there are other issues, as Charles said. We're concerned about safety of children. We're concerned about crime. And we're concerned about public nuisance. So I think all the important issues remain, and the untidiness is probably the least relevant.
Thank you. Mr. Hammond, are you reassured at all?
I think more the same. Mr. Dangs clearly has a lot of experience, and I don't have any reason to doubt that they would come in and do a fantastic job. But I think the concerns that have been raised around the licensing specifically aren't tackled by new management coming in. I would suggest that if Mr. Dang was to take over the place and then demonstrate some of the things that he's shown, that he's communicated, then that might open up, some of the concerns later on being mitigated in terms of establishing community bonds and working with the community. But it's very hard to know that that's going to happen, and even if it did, it doesn't tackle those core issues of protection of children. The Challenge 25 stuff doesn't really help. This is not about underage sales. It's about the proximity of people buying and consuming alcohol close to a school. So all of that training and all the Challenge 25 doesn't really reassure either. Although I'm thrilled that somebody would be coming in who has that level of experience at least.
Thank you. Lorna, may I just ask you a question?
Yeah, of course, Councillor.
Would you mind just letting me know what the rules are with proximity? Are there any limitations on how many alcohol outlets you can have within a certain area?
No, we don't currently have any cumulative impact policy within the licensing policy, so it's not something. It would be down, I guess. Matt, you could lean in on this at your discretion, but it's not a factor that we would. There's no set number that can be within the vicinity of a school, and obviously, like we said before, it's each application on its own merit. So it's about, I guess, proposing or looking at the conditions that have been proposed by the applicant to see if they cover the concerns that are raised to promote the licensing objectives. I don't know if you have anything else to add, Matt.
Thank you, Lorna. And the only thing I would say, Councillor, is that as Lorna has said, we don't have cumulative impact zones, and ultimately there, until such time as the government introduces new guidance or new legislation, we are with the guidance and the legislation that we have to work with. So, as I said, ultimately the key position here, as outlined by Lorna, is whether what the applicant has offered and negotiated or agreed to change as part of their application as they've applied for it suitably mitigates the residents' concerns, and ultimately that's a decision for you to make as a committee. The one thing I will say as well is that ultimately, in the absence of a cumulative impact policy area, presumption under the Act is in favour of granting, unless of course you have suitable reasons not to grant a licence either in whole or in part. So I think ultimately that's sort of really where you are, and no doubt as part of when everyone has sort of summed up as part of their when you retire into private session as part of your deliberations, then Emmanuel in his capacity can advise you further should you need it. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Chair, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I'm going to take the two raised hands as I see them. So I'm going to start with Dominic.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a question for licensing. So I think Ms. McKenna.
No, Dominic, apologies. You cannot ask a question to any other party. You can only committee members are able to ask questions to any other party.
So am I able to make a statement?
You can certainly make a statement or a comment,
Okay.
but you're unable to ask questions of
Understood.
anybody.
Okay, then my comment is about the opening hours. As I understand it, as this store is not a chain, they can in future expand opening hours again. And so one of my concerns around the opening hours is that although the licensing may restrict them now, it doesn't restrict them in perpetuity, is my understanding. And so I'm going to state that as a statement of my understanding that may or may not be wrong, and then leave it there. Thank you, Chair. I'm done.
I'm going to go to Matt. If you obviously, if you want to respond.
Thank you, Chair. And I don't want to sort of talk over on in front of Mr. Panchal, so I'll be brief. The answer to Dominic's question about whether the if this application were to be granted in any form today, it is within the applicant's power to make a separate application if they wish to apply for what we would call a full variation. That would be, say, I don't know, if they wanted to increase hours or change the nature of their activity. They can make minor alterations to the premises, layout, etc. And we would generally classify those as minor variations. But full variations would be subject to another 28-day consultation period, as this application has been. So that there are further opportunities for residents to comment if any applicant or premises license holder, for that matter, wishes to make changes to their license if as in this case they're granted. I think it's probably worth saying is that obviously we do advise any applicants, just so that it provides some reassurance for everyone concerned in the room, that ultimately we do generally, when businesses come to us as a licensing authority, we do generally advise, first of all, they do obviously notify people in the local area. It's not quite like planning where next door neighbours get notifications automatically in the post. So generally speaking, and advising and staying in touch with local residents in the vicinity is a good way of obviously staying in touch, and also giving them some prior notice that applications may or may not be coming forward is always a good way of trying to understand, test the waters, that kind of thing. So we would always encourage better communication where possible. So hopefully that answers that provides an answer to the statement provided by Dominic, Chair.
Thank you. I'm going to move along to Mr. Panchal.
Sorry, Chair, the client wanted to give some assurance, but I'm trying to advise the client that we will be able to say that when we have our own presentation. So I do apologize. So we will make the
But you're going to keep that for summation, is it?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. I mean, I do have some quick questions of my own. Firstly, just if I understand correctly, the premises is currently operating right now. So there, obviously, it's current. As I understand, the business is the premises is for sale. You intend to purchase it, but there is currently a tenant on site at the moment. So, obviously, you said it would take about a month to complete the sale. But have you received any assurances or guarantees that the current tenants will be vacating the site ahead of any purchase?
Am I allowed to speak, Vice Chair?
Yeah. That's your question.
Okay. I have already paid my deposit to secure the premises under my name. So because it was in the Christmas time, we were not going to go through, and January, February is quite like an off season for anything to purchase. The purchase is over £100,000 to purchase this business. So we have funds available into the account. So we were just waiting for the licensing to go through. And I was aware that it could take like more than a month. Maybe could be a rejection. We could have gone that. So we were just waiting for it to complete everything. We go back with the solicitor to complete the lease completely. And then once we taken over, the previous owner got nothing to do with that premises anymore. If I have to do with the from now on, basically.
So am I right in saying that at present it's an owner-operator business rather than a landlord-tenant business that you're acquiring these premises from?
It's a landlord different from the...
No, the landlord is exactly the same one. Is basically the landlord is going to be exactly the same. It's just whoever runs the shop at the moment, he's selling it to me under the lease. So he'll have like 30 years lease left or 25 years lease left. I'll be going to be signing on with the lease, basically.
All right. So what you are purchasing then is the lease of the premises rather than the premises itself.
No, yeah, I'm just purchasing the lease but whatever the lease could be 15 years, so I'll be entitled for 15 years basically to premises that.
Certainly. My next question is in terms of yourself. Obviously, you've detailed that you've got an extensive career in this section already. Could you tell me how many staff do you currently manage across your premises?
At this moment, right now, I have 3 staff in one premises, not including myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I have another shop, which is in Watford, which is 2 main staff, not including my dad. Again, then I've got a restaurant runs by a management team, which I've got like a 50% partnership with someone else, which he runs that.
How many staff are there?
So total, we're looking around about 67 staff.
6 or 7 staff
Across that, yeah. That's not including my family members, just outside.
Certainly. And then in terms of the your own experience, obviously you talked about you've had I think was it 12 years you said you've held a personal license already.
Yes.
What training or refresher courses have you personally undertaken with respect to the licensing objectives over the last 12 to 24 months?
So what we do, we have software which from Bookers. First thing first, which we pay £60 per month. So every 3 months, every 90 days, they'll send us like kind of a training to come into our till. So whoever's a staff member, every staff member has to go through. Okay, and there's another member of staff which from Mr. Panchal called Manpreet Singh, which send us on a WhatsApp. There's a training log where we have to do it online. Every member of staff who sells alcohol have to go through to do this. Myself, you have to example like whoever does it, whoever like there's like a mark, like a questionnaire of 60 questions, and you have to get it all right. If you can't get them right, we send him to training to Mr. Panchal to get him trained, or like like a Zoom one-to-one training, where we have to pay him to do that. But yeah, all of my staff are fully trained to make sure that they are up to date with the criteria what we do on a day-to-day basis.
And does that include yourself? I'm referring to, it's like
yeah. I have to do it for sure. I'll be the first one to do it in order to give them the right thing, the right tool.
Okay. And you mentioned that some of your family members are involved with your business.
Yes.
Equally, do these same family members have they undertaken the same training to ensure that they equally understand the 4 licensing objectives, but also the additional policies as we discussed this evening, such as Challenge 25?
Okay. Challenge 25, as the member guy said, it's like it's a protocol that we have to follow anyway. Okay, but yeah, the main guy who runs with me is my brother. He's also a DPS. He's also a license holder for 10 years with me. So he's my partner and he's my brother also. So he runs across with him. So if I am not there, so he's there to run it. But he's all fully qualified. At the same time, we took the this course in 2014, Panchal. 2014, same time. So until right now, we never, because we grew up and raised in British, and we know exactly how things should be running. I have my own kids, and I shouldn't be like, we make sure that everyone is okay, right? So we make sure everything is literally legit as possible that we could make, nice. But yes, everything is literally fully trained, fully licensed. We would not be recruiting anyone that were literally they're not suitable for the job that we do, because it can literally revoke our license. This is our bread and butter.
Certainly. I mean, on the matter of recruitment, in terms of obviously, if you acquire this premises, you may look to hire some new staff.
Yes.
What will be your onboarding procedure in terms of developing those staff to ensure that they equally are going to be adhering to these practices? Obviously, it's good to hear that your existing staff are part of a regular training program, and obviously those that either fail or need further improvement, you have mechanisms there. But I'm more specifically interested in new hires and how, at what stage do they get trained up on the licensing objectives?
I've already got like 2 staff in line that once if I do get this license and if I do get this shop on board. So all of my licensing have been trained by Manpreet. He's their colleague, which is like fully alcohol license. So they have done a fully training. I'm not taking anyone who is not licensed. I pay for the training myself to get it done because so they know exactly what they're gonna be doing day-to-day basis. If it's like a part-time staff, I know that, but or any staff that I recruit is over 21 anyway, because we'll be handling with alcohol. That's everywhere across my shop. I do not hire any part-times underage because they cannot serve alcohol if they're underage themselves. So anyone who's dealing in the shop day-to-day basis is over 21 and have the license they're on anyway from Sapanchal.
Thank you very much.
Yep,
Mr. Panchal.
Yeah. In other words, what he's trying to make you understand that we run the APLH level 2 under the BIIAB. So his staff normally is always booking to our courses, which we run on Wednesdays, which is for the award for personal license holders. That is what we do for their staff. We've been doing that for last, I think we know it for the last 12, 13 years.
6 of them, you done already messed up.
We've already done 6 of their staff in the past.
Certainly. Thank you for that. Robin, I can see that you've raised your hand. Do you have a comment that you wish to make? Obviously, same thing as before. Unfortunately, we can't take a question.
No, I did make a comment before, which was partly answered, but can I just raise 3 points again, not ask any questions? So as I attend the ward panel meetings with the police every 3 months for the Fulham wards, the biggest issue that we have is with ASB and drink and drugs. Alcohol brings in ASB and it also brings in drugs. And I'd like to make the point that if you can just bear with me for a moment. The second thing is that because we are having issues which we just can't do anything about with the up the other end of Felden Street, the existing license holder, with people buying drinks, as I mentioned earlier, and then behaving in an unpleasant way at the top of Felden Street. I don't see any way that it's going to be different at the bottom of Felden Street and Swift Street. And the final thing is that I've been selling online courses for license holders for 5 or 6 years now, because I run a business that provides online learning, and it's difficult to see how these online learning courses don't necessarily trickle down. It really depends on top-down management. But a lot of the time, these courses are taken as for compliance purposes and to tick boxes. So, I mean, from my point of view, I'm selling the courses. I'm not managing the outcomes. But I just like to make the point that we are very, that online courses are very different from perhaps what training used to be like 15 years ago. Those are my points.
Thank you, Robin.
Sorry, Chair, can you give me a chance to put some points on the training that Robin's just put forward? It will give you some more assurance of what I'm saying.
I'm going to ask a question myself. Firstly, in terms of, obviously, it's been made in the representations there about issues of ASB affecting the neighbourhood. Obviously, you've made in your own representations comments about looking to integrate with the community. In terms of your own operating plan, do you have any plans in terms of creating that feedback loop between yourself as the operator and also with the residents, so how they can have a regular interviews with yourself to alert you to potential instances in the future of ASB originating from purchases from this premises?
The first and foremost thing we have advised our client in our trainings and that we normally don't do online courses for our these APLH. The APLH level 2, we carry out at our premises every Wednesday from 10:30 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And during that period, we use 5 different languages, although English is should be their first language, but we make them understand in 5 different languages, whatever language they have, to make sure they understand what the compliance is and what the licensing objectives are, which is very, very important. And that is why we get a very good results from our clients, because we deal with the Asian community around the area. The second thing is they are going to be, we advise the client that they will be passing on especially to Robin, Charles, and Hammond, his mobile numbers, and he will be getting in regular touch with the local community, because that is where his business is going to come. We've advised him that that is where the local community is his business, who are going to come to the shop to buy. And if that is where he needs to be updated on everything, and he will be working along with the community in doing that. And that is one of the reasons, if you look at our bundle of the application, we did consider the neighbors and decide and reduce the hours, and even had replied back to the neighbors when they objected that, yes, we are here for you.
Thank you, Mr. Panchal. Councillor Daly, Councillor Statton, do you have any further questions that you wish to raise? Councillor Statton.
Thank you. Yeah, just one question to licensing, which is ordinarily when we issue a summary at the end of our deliberations, it says that the license is operational with immediate effect. Should we choose to approve the license in some form this evening, can you confirm that this would not be operational until such time as Mr. Panchal's client, sorry, Mr. Dang, took ownership of the property?
Yep. Yeah.
Matt, do you want to answer that one?
Thank you very much, Councillor. I do apologise for the camera not working there. I need to have a word with our IT team. So apologies, it keeps flicking on and off. Just to answer your question, essentially, just so you're aware, and I'm sure you'll be aware that effectively, if a subcommittee were either in whole or in part to grant a licence this evening, we would send, once you have drafted a decision notice, we would effectively issue that to all of the parties to the hearing, both written and who have turned up today, or both. What that effectively means then is that any party to the hearing would have 21 days to submit an appeal, and it's only after we've if we don't receive any notification of an appeal to a decision within those 21 days, we are then bound to issue the license as per the on day 22. So effectively what we're looking at is a period of up to 21 days before we can issue the license anyway. I can't see from an economic or a commercial perspective, and this is a point that the applicant themselves may wish to speak to, but I don't see them, if you were minded to grant the application today, I can't see them not preparing for an application moving into the premises if they feel confident enough to do so. So I think ultimately that would be a question for them. If you feel that needs conditioning, then you may need to have a think about that as part of your private session. But I think effectively the applicant may well be able to assist if you need to ask a further question, Councillor, on that point. But we do have a 21-day time frame.
Yeah. Let me stop you. Let me rephrase the question then. I believe I'm correct in saying that the license is issued. It is issued on the premise rather than the individual. And we all know that with the best will in the world, plans don't always carry forward as intended. And whilst it is highly likely from what Mr. Dang has said, that should a license be granted, he will be purchasing the premises and will be moving in as soon as he can.
Yes.
Should, for some whatever reason, that be delayed by a period of time.
Yes.
My understanding with the licence being issued on the premises that should there be a delay in Mr. Dang's taking up the premises, then the current occupant could theoretically operate under the licence.
I understand what you're saying, Councillor. Effectively, if you are minded to grant either in whole or in part this licence today, it would be issued to the entity that has made the application. So that would be the applicant, in this case, Mr. Dang. So if you grant a licence and it's issued on day 22, for example, and there are no appeals raised within the 21 days, then effectively we would only expect licensable activity to take place on that premises from the entity itself. If there's someone else, i.e. another individual who's completely unconnected from the company still operating, then that would be a breach of straightforward sale of alcohol legislation, and we would deal with that separately as an enforcement team.
Fine, thank you. That's
fine. So licenses, unlike planning, planning permissions are issued to the buildings, whereas with licensing, it's the entity residing at the building, if that makes sense. So a license is technically by legal definition, a license is attached to an individual or a commercial entity, so a company, whereas planning is allocated to the building only. So it's the person at the building rather than the building.
Okay, thank you very much.
That's okay, Councillor. No worries. Thanks.
No further questions, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Stanton. Councillor Daly.
Thank you, Chair. I am minded to go back to something that Mr. Adder was talking about and the ward panel meetings. Mr. Adder was saying that antisocial behaviour has been a priority for the ward, and the Met have been sort of following up on that, and it sounded like particularly in match days. Lorna, may I just double check? I didn't see any objections made by the police for this application. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. There was no objections from any of the responsible authorities in relation to the application. And obviously all responsible authorities are consulted on. And they didn't have any comments or concerns.
Thanks. So can I ask Matt, sorry to make you put your camera back on, Matt. Can I ask you, should antisocial behaviour happen? Should the shop become kind of the centre of issues? What would happen? What would be the kind of the process there?
So effectively, thank you for the point, Councillor. So effectively, as a licensing authority, we're empowered to take. We have an enforcement policy which is reflective of a stepped approach, and we are required when we either receive intelligence from the police or any other responsible authority, or a complaint from a resident or residents association, or even from yourselves as councillors. We would then undertake our own investigations, and we would assess the situation. What we would normally do is we would adopt, as I said, a staged approach. So we would obviously warn the premises, and if there were further ongoing issues, what we would do as an enforcing body is we would have to establish whether the antisocial behaviour is attributable to the individual premises. So I'm taking, just as an example, would be underage alcohol sales. We would have to link, for example, an underage alcohol sale to the premises to then submit what we would call a review of the premises licence. Now, that's a very worst case scenario, and we never like to do that as an authority, but ultimately sometimes that's needed. But ultimately what we would need to do is we would need to be able to attribute the individual premises itself to the actual issues themselves. Now, sometimes when you have a lot of premises, that's quite difficult, and that does require a more multi-agency joined up approach. So whilst there may be issues in the area, for us to review a premises, we would have to make sure it's attributable to the premises. So that would require things like police data, perhaps trading standards data, or environmental health data as well. So we can't make those decisions arbitrarily. They do have to be rooted in demonstrable evidence, but there is a mechanism where we can pursue that if trouble arises and if it's necessary. I hope that clarifies matters, Councillor.
It does. Thank you very much for that answer, Matt.
That's right. Pleasure.
No more questions, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Daly. Robert, I can see that you've raised your hand, but I'm going to ask you to keep that for summations, as we've had quite an exhaustive discussion already on this matter. So we're going to now move, to summing up. Firstly, could I please hear from Lorna? Do you have any additional comments you wish to make?
No, Councillor, nothing further to add from me.
Thank you. Then from Charles. Charles, again, as you're making representations on behalf of a number of objectors, you have up to 9 minutes to speak.
Gosh, I'm not doing 9 minutes either. Okay. Our original concerns in the categories we identified remain, I'm afraid. I'd ask you to consider those very carefully in your deliberations. That's simple as that, really.
Thank you, Charles. In that case, Dominic, you have up to 3 minutes if you wish to speak.
Yes, I'll take my 3 minutes. I will talk slightly quickly. First, I've no doubt that Mr. Dang has experience of running these places, and I do appreciate taking the time to talk today. I wanted to reiterate that the change in hours don't help the concerns that have been raised by the objectors. The mention of and deep discussions of training and Challenge 25, I would assume as standard, so they don't necessarily help either. This is not about underage sales to children. This is about the proximity of people buying and consuming alcohol so close to children and the community. I would like to be able to take on trust that there's going to be bonds formed with the local community, but I think taking something on trust and then learning that it's not the case is a risk, whereas having someone come in and form those bonds and then establish that, I think is a much lower risk for the community approach. Generally, I'd rather avoid the trouble in the first place rather than making a mistake, having a bunch of trouble and then having to deal with it, especially given what Matt has just said about how difficult that can be. I am, as a comment, I'm a little surprised that there's no requirement of ownership prior to the license application. I understand that the license is attributable to an individual residing at the location. The applicant is not currently residing at the location, but is an individual. And so I'm a little puzzled as to how that could happen. I also wanted to reiterate, there was one comment made earlier, and I didn't catch the details, but there was a license that was granted a year ago on the current or previous owner, and there was some issue with the existing landlord wherein the license had to be surrendered in September. Given that the landlord is not changing and this is still a lease situation, I would encourage the council and the licensors to consider that we're in the same situation again with the same landlord and a new owner, and giving a license that may need to be surrendered later. It doesn't sound like a great situation to me. So yeah, in summary, I've used all 3 minutes, but in summary, I haven't really heard a lot that has mitigated any of the concerns that I've raised or that I've heard others raise, I'm afraid. And I'm generally, I was hopeful that there would be some, but I haven't heard much. So, okay, I'll stop now. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Dominic. And then finally, Robin, you have up to 3 minutes to speak. Robin, you've
Mr. Addy, you're muted at the moment.
Sorry, 2.5 minutes. No, I was just saying I fully endorse what Charles said and also what Dominic said. And I'd only make the comment, and I don't want to labor it, but we recently had a meeting with the police in one of our houses, and they did admit that they can't patrol. They don't have enough people to patrol our area, and we have had recourse to some private security to try and reduce the amount of crime, particularly in our streets. So my only point is that I think the police haven't objected to it because we're trying to do as much as we can to keep the place safe. And I think no matter, I'm sure Mr. Dang is very experienced, but there was a reference to the fact that locals will go and buy their alcohol there. I don't think our locals we have so many mothers with small babies, and it really is a very residential area. It's becoming younger and younger in our streets. I don't think this is creating a license, an off license, is suited to this particular place, which used to have a cake shop in it before it was taken over by this landlord. So clearly, we're just not minded to feel comfortable about this happening. That's my final word. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robin. Then we will move over to Mr. Panchal. You have 15 minutes to sum up.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I'd like to just present to say that we did get in touch with the police. We did get in touch with the trading standards during our application period. We made sure all the conditions required to run the shop in a positive, robustly presenting the full licensing objectives. We worked that round. The client has tremendous experience of 12 years. We've looked at all the shops and that they've run. We've had a good experience of them attending their courses and being very serious about how licensing matters should be taken into consideration. And you heard quite a lot about it from my client. I would like to also clarify to you that the present tenant sitting at the shop is not the landlord. He is just a tenant there who is going to vacate because the lease is being signed through the freeholder of the premises by Mr. Dane. So in other words, if the license is granted today, the present tenant who's there will have to leave the premises, and Mr. Dang will take over that premises. The documents have already been prepared with both the lawyers and everybody. Mr. Dang's condition for obtaining that premises was that if I would get a license, then I would carry on with my deal. And that is what Mr. Dang is awaiting now. So he will need another 3 to 4 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks at the maximum to refurbish and get the shop into a better manner. So that is what is required once the license is granted. Chair, I don't have much to say because we've said enough regarding the promotion of 4 licensing objectives. Mr. Dang would like to say a few things that I would like him to say.
Why, Chair, I would like to say something to Dominic,
of course, go ahead.
To Robin. Regarding you mentioned, the landlord is not the same that I am purchasing my lease from. So the landlord owns the building. He has given the lease to these Turkish guys who's at this moment the present. The Turkish guy selling the lease to me, which I will be the new leaseholder for that premises. They will gonna go and I am gonna be there. The landlord is where I pay my rent, which we never met. He's got nothing to do with this licensing or anything like that or previously. That's the answer that I think. There's another question that says regarding the public nuisance and children from home. What I'm going to be doing, for example, which I do all from my shops, we're going to be putting cameras from outside, facing all the angles to look out. Who is coming, who is going. That could be another tools that you could able to use. If something happens to the area, you could able to come in to check my cameras and you could able to get access to it. Something does happen. I always make sure that we don't harm any children from any intoxications or anything prior to that. We know if someone is intoxicated already, we're not going to be serving any to them to make them more vulnerable outside to the street because they're already intoxicated. So I am aware of everything what could be possible to raise further. But yeah, rest assured to the Vice Chair.
Thank you for that. In that case, we shall move along to deliberations. So the committee will retire to a separate room to begin its deliberations. You are welcome to remain in the meeting to hear the committee's decision. However, this may take some time. If you do not wish to wait, a summary decision will be published on the council's website tomorrow morning. So could I please ask members of the committee to turn off their video, mute their microphones, and to join me in the separate meeting.
Sorry, Chair, to bother you. Would you give us some time when we could come back to the meeting? An hour, or would we?
As I said, this could take some time. There's no fixed time frame for how long this will take. Myself and the other committee members will need to discuss for as long as it does take to make a decision. So I say, if you are of course welcome to remain here in the committee room, and once we finish, we will come back to read out our decision. If you do not wish to wait, the decision will be published tomorrow, and of course, in due course, the decision letters will be published and sent out to all parties as well. So I'll see you guys in hopefully a few minutes.
Thanks.
Okay, I think we're all back. In that case, I shall read the letter. So the committee has considered an application for a new premises license for the sale of alcohol off premises under the Licensing Act of 2003. The application, in summary, the committee has decided, after taking into account all of the individual circumstances of this case and the promotion of the 4 licensing objectives, to grant as follows: the sale by retail of alcohol off premises Monday to Saturday 9 to 11 p.m, Sunday 9 to 10 p.m. The opening hours of the premises are Monday to Sunday between the hours of 8 a.m. and 11 p.m. The license is subject to any mandatory conditions. The license is subject to the conditions proposed by the applicant and amended by the committee. The license is subject to the conditions proposed by the trading standards as amended by the committee. And the license is subject to the conditions proposed by the committee. Firstly, a responsible member of staff shall organise and accommodate meetings to discuss operating of the premises with residents at least 2 times per calendar year. The meetings shall be advertised at least 14 days before its due date by letter to residents and residents associations in the locality, as well as to the licensing authority. And 2, a telephone number for the premises or a responsible member of staff on duty shall be displayed so that it is visible from the public highway for members of the public to lodge complaints. The license becomes operational with immediate effect. If problems are experienced, then an application for review of the premises license can be made. A copy of the committee's full decision, including its reasons and the full text of the conditions added to the license, shall be sent to the parties forthwith. If the applicant or any person who has made a relevant representation is unhappy with the decision, they are entitled to appeal to the magistrates' courts within 21 days from the date of notification of the full decision. So that is the decision. I'd like to thank everybody for their participation this evening and wish everybody a very good evening.
Thanks, Chair.